Shamanic Healing podcast is designed as a platform to share authentic conversations about real life issues, providing you with valuable resources and tools to support you in shining your most authentic self, creating a thriving life that you absolutely love, and to support you in manifesting your soul's mission. Welcome to the Shamanic Healing Podcast with Anahata Ananda. As always, I appreciate your time and energy in tuning in and your commitment to personal development. Be sure to check the links on the landing page because we're always offering free gifts or discounts for some special offers for you, our fans and our listeners. So be sure to check that out. Thank you in advance for your rave reviews. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. It inspires me to keep going. If you have been listening and enjoying the podcast and haven't yet given us a review, please take a few minutes and do that. Share it, like it, and be sure to let other people know about this podcast because it helps us get the word out. My intention is to inspire millions to shine, and you're a big part of that. And I also want to announce that I'm going to open up enrollment for my high performance coaching, and I only allow 3 people in per year. It's a year-long program. There's an application because I'm only accepting people that are really motivated to take their life in all areas to the next level. These are optimal high performance strategies that I share with you. One-on-one coaching. So check the link in the podcast episode because that's where you're going to find the application if you want to be one of those 3 for this next year to do one-on-one coaching with me. I'm excited to announce this podcast with my dear friend, brother, and soul. He's such an amazing, beautiful man. He is an Eastern medicine energy practitioner and acupuncturist right here in Sedona. And we are going to explore the Yin Yang balance and alchemy and how you can really leverage that for spiritual awakening and enlightenment and life transformation. You are going to love Adam. He has so much amazing information. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Shamanic Healing Podcast. I'm Anahata Ananda, and so grateful to be coming to you from the Shamanic Healing Center here in Sedona, Arizona. Thank you for tuning in. We always appreciate the time that you take to listen to these episodes. Please like, share it, give us a rave review. That really helps. And make sure to stay tuned to the very end because we're going to be explaining different gifts and special offers that we have for you. I'm launching my coaching program, which you definitely want to get in on. And I'm so grateful to share this particular episode with my dear brother, Adam DaVirro, who is just an amazing Eastern medicine healer and practitioner and, really diving into Eastern philosophy. And today, our episode, we're going to just, no one better to explore the Yin Yang balance and the alchemy of that and how it can contribute to our human evolution and our spiritual awakening. So welcome, Adam. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Anahata. It's so great to be here. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to share with you and connect and get into this a little bit more so that your viewers can really understand this yin-yang type balancing and Eastern tradition, Eastern medicine is very, for most people, it's like kind of like these concepts, but there really isn't a way to ground them and make them really real.
Right.
And so part of what I like to do in my practice and with my patients is really educate people about what these concepts are. Yeah. Because in China and Japan and these Eastern cultures, this is like something very natural to them. Right. But for us, because we're so more geared up in the head and psychologically oriented, it helps to kind of bring this down to earth in a way that people can really feel in their body and understand. So. Right.
And I've always appreciated just how practical and plain English that you're able to help me. You know, you're an amazing acupuncturist, and so I go to you, and I love what you do. And you have this way of blending Eastern and Western philosophies in a way that's really accessible to people with different ailments and different issues, and also how this can really help people's not only physical body, but their emotional, energetic, and spiritual body.
Totally.
So let's dive in, and you know, just so we have a bigger picture of like what is this whole yin yang thing. And so like let's start with what is yin from the Eastern philosophy. How do they describe it?
Sure. Well, yin yang in Chinese medicine is basically like the two halves, which is basically the masculine and the feminine essences and energies that we all carry. Women, obviously, the yin is more on the feminine side. It is the feminine side. It's the moon, it's connected to water, it's connected to things that are soft, it's connected to the substance, the emotion, exactly. It's the actual substance, it's what our bodies are primarily made of, is the yin. It's the things we can touch and we can feel and we see around us that we can have actual tangible connections to. That's primarily the yin. So it's also connected to our ability to be still and calm and quiet and more receptive and receiving. So these are naturally more feminine qualities, but men also obviously have these qualities as well. So from the yang is obviously it's the opposite. It's the masculine side. It's the sun. It's the light. It's very active. There's really, yang can't be touched. It really can't be. It can't be felt from a physical level. It can be experienced on an energetic level. It's more the energetics we feel and the electricity we feel, the attractiveness, like the sexual energy that we feel. That's all part of the yang energy.
And the power and the warmth from the sun, but we don't necessarily touch it, but we can feel it.
Exactly.
Got it.
So these are the essential, like the essential elements that we all embody, and it's part of. It's basically like we're all on an essential level. We are nature. So the Eastern tradition is all based on nature. It's all based on the elements in the yin yang, right? But we are that as beings, as human beings. We are yin and yang, and our relative level of health depends on the balance of those two major polarities that we all embody. So that's the first basic essential step in communicating this is for people to get in touch with these components within themselves, people that to connect to these energies within themselves. And then just becoming aware of those things, naturally things start to come into balance. Just the pure awareness itself starts to shift vibrationally how we experience our reality.
So let me get this clear. The yin-yang balance has, or even more likely the imbalance, is really an indication of dis-ease.
Yes.
Physically, it can relate to disease in the physical body. It can relate to disharmony in our emotional body or our energetic body if we're more this or more that, more yin or more yang.
Exactly.
It can affect the health, the alchemy of our physical body, emotional body, energetic body, and then also spiritual body as well?
Exactly.
Okay.
So to give you like an example, I see a lot of patients that are struggling with their weight, like they're having weight issues. And so, you know, they've been struggling with how to shift their diet, how to lose weight, how to become more active, how to, you know, kind of shift this polarity. And this is a yin imbalance. When someone is struggling with holding on to a lot of excess kind of, you could say too much softness, too much stillness, too much like slowness, too much just extra baggage, so to speak, that affects them on every level. That affects their actual physical body, that affects their mental body and their ability to actually make and initiate changes, which is the yang energy. They're struggling with that. It's like, how do I do this? How do I get the energy to shift so that I can become more disciplined in like my exercise regimen, or I can start to let go of certain thoughts, like all this extra weight is just extra stuff, heaviness that they've been holding on to.
And they can be the part of them that is yang or masculine. They can be very busy. They can be very active, but not necessarily in their physical body. They can be wearing lots of hats, very, very active, but the part of them that they're still emotionally, energetically holding on to weight and maybe being active with their physical body.
Very much.
And holding on to the emotional body.
Very
too much yin, too much emotion.
Very much.
I'm holding. Oh, thank you for that.
And generally, just to digress a little bit,
cool.
Generally people that have this type of situation, it's a disconnection from the earth itself. So there's yin yang, but then there we have the 5 elements, which are basically all the elements we see and experience in nature. And in the Chinese medical system, it's wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So all of these elements, like you see, we look outside, we feel, we have these experiences of these. We have the air, we see trees, we see the earth we're connected to. The water's everywhere, obviously. All this is inside of us as well, and it connects to specific organs, and it's all translatable, basically. It's like we're an actual hology, we're a profile of nature within us. We are a mirror of nature, exactly. So people that have this weight issue generally have an issue with an earth imbalance. They're disconnected from the earth. And what that usually translates as is they're eating a lot of food, but they're not actually absorbing and utilizing the nutrients. There's a lack of actual nutrient absorption, and that actually ends up clogging their body up over time, and they're really craving on an essential level nourishment. And so that's the first thing. And so I tell them, hey, just connect to the earth, connect deeply as to the earth as possible, because all of these things we need are in the elements themselves. We are connected to them, and all we have to do is really learn to connect.
And someone in that situation that's dealing with an weight issue would be a combination of connect to the earth and then also move your body.
Exactly.
And, release the emotional density.
Totally.
Those would all be things to do. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
What are some indications of an imbalance of yin? I want to just mention for a second that this is, we're saying male and female, but this is all within everybody.
Totally.
And, as a woman, I could be too feminine, or I could be too masculine.
Yes.
And that could affect everything when I'm in relationship. It can affect what I create. It can affect my health. It can affect how I see myself, how I express myself. But same with men as well. So many men have been told, don't feel, don't cry, don't talk about it. And so there's a lot of perhaps some challenges of the gender programming that would shift our yin or yang balance based on what's socially acceptable for our gender.
Most definitely.
Don't be too emotional, or don't be too aggressive, or that this gender is okay to be aggressive and this one's judged for being aggressive.
Yes.
And how we kind of overcompensate based on insecurities or social programming. So can you speak to that?
Yes. Well, just as a man, I'm very, very strong yang and fire energy. So I'm very passionate. I like to push my body. I like to train really hard. I've
seen you at the gym. You are pushing it for sure.
Yeah. I'm very sexual. All these things are part of my nature. And what happens is when I'm out of balance with that, because it is just part of who I am. It's part of my nature. But when I'm out of balance with that, what I end up finding, what I'm doing is I end up getting ill. I end up getting inflamed. I end up getting really frustrated because I like to push. It's just my nature.
Look at your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, your hand is in a fist form, and you're pushing. That is quite unhealthy masculine, coming with force.
Exactly.
That's running a little too hot, the fire, right?
And I've had to really learn. It's in my balancing to learn how to just soften and to receive, to truly really receive. And that I don't need to have all this kind of crazy, chaotic energy, just to drive, to push for something that I don't really need in the first place. It's not coming from a healthy place. So it's learning how to, and we all have a unique balance when it comes to that. Every one of us is very unique. And we all carry a very unique signature in relationship to the elements themselves. So each person, meaning what I'm trying to express here is that each one of us, we gravitate towards one specific element. So
is that just genetically?
it's genetic.
It's genetic, and
Totally
then on top
genetic.
of that is social programming, which
Yes.
could amplify that imbalance even more, or it can complement it.
Most definitely.
So it is adjustable.
It's adjustable.
Right.
Like most people in the U.S., we're primarily wood elemental, meaning we love to push, and it's all about ambition and pushing and striving and
That's
getting.
not fire?
It's a combination.
Okay.
Fire is more the passion behind the ambition. Wood is more, and the element of wood is more about, it's like when a bud is sprouting, it pushes through the ground to come up. I was just walking the other day, and in my neighborhood, there's sprouts coming out of the asphalt.
Wow.
That's the power of wood.
That's pretty powerful.
So it's when you have an
Creation.
intention, it's creation for sure.
Awesome.
And it's also the organizational principle. It's what allows us to be able to direct energy in the right way. Like when a tree grows, it has a very specific patterning. Structure.
Got it.
But it's how to channel that structure. It's how to channel the ambition into the correct structure. So like CEOs and people that are very on those high levels, that they're masters of that wood energy because they're able to manage all of the overall structure of the business itself and to funnel it into its specific goal. And that's the wood energy, and that's what America really runs on. And fire too. We don't have a lot of the water and the softness and the calmness and the
Air.
yes, totally,
Chill.
totally, yeah.
Right.
So really, the primary imbalance that I see with most, and just as a culture, is we're disconnected from that the soft part of ourselves, this feminine, which is now I feel rising on the planet. It's like the masculine dominant force, control, and all this power. These structures are starting to crumble, and the feminine is taking over.
Is that,
So-
because they, a lot of those structures were created with that imbalance,
Yes.
that they become a little bit destructive, whereas like corporations or greed,
Yes.
too much wood element is then at the expense of Mother Earth, at the expense
Exactly.
of one's physiology. It's like, okay, great, I can be successful, but my health, my relationships, my mental,
Yes.
and emotional body has paid the price. And, we're kind of cleaning that up. And so what I'm hearing you saying is that as we clean that up, it's an alchemy not only happening within each individual, but
Yes.
it's an alchemy that is happening collectively and planetarily.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah, it's we're seeing the imbalances because it's so obvious now.
Yeah.
And so
Isn't it? We would hope so. We'd hope it's obvious
we
by
hope,
now.
we do.
Okay.
Right.
Some may
I
see
forget
that.
where I am.
Some may-
Sorry.
Outside of Sedona,
Exactly,
outside, right?
exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
like the planet is crying, humanity is hungry,
exactly.
is crying and reaching out
Totally.
for that imbalance, and it's showing us with the acceleration of disease on the
Yes.
planet. It's showing us with the acceleration of the planetary toxicity in our
Yes.
waters and the waste and landfills, and we're kind of seeing it with the agitation and the friction,
Yes.
in relationships or with warring cultures and humanity. So it's showing itself, whether we see it as, oh, this is an alchemy imbalance here.
Yes.
And if it's been imbalanced, then there is a way to correct it.
Exactly.
So if someone's experiencing imbalances in their physical body, whether it's disease or weight gain or some inflammation, or if they're having conflict in their relationships or in their heart, if they're feeling kind of fluctuations or intensity in their emotional body, whether that's extreme anger or extreme grief or sadness or depression, if they're having those waves in the emotional body, what would you recommend for bringing this into harmony and balance? Like, where does somebody start identifying,
Yeah.
what are the steps of bringing their imbalance into an alchemical harmony?
Sure. Great question. I love this question. No, I love this question.
Ultimate.
Because the ultimate, it's so simple.
I love to hear that. I mean, I'm sure people listening and watching, this
It's-
is like bringing it into harmony. Actually,
It's really simple. We're what I see is we're scrambling to find an answer to all this. Like everyone is.
Yeah.
Because we live in a very painful place right now. The world is just painful. There's a lot of pain. But what I what I see and what I tell my patients and what I'm telling your viewers now is it's really simple. It's, first of all, you have to really get in touch with your body. You have to start to feel. You have to be able to turn, instead of looking out, you have to just turn in and just start to actually feel what it is you're feeling.
Which is a scary process,
It's a scary process.
And so, but that is what we were saying, is that this harmony, yin and yang balance creates spiritual enlightenment. This is where it starts, is to bring light in and to be gentle with self in ways in which your mother or father or partner or siblings or, coworkers may not be able to, or is there not responsibility to do the inner work. This is like, just as you're saying, it's actually really simple to just sit still with oneself and to feel what you're feeling.
Exactly.
Okay, but as a dude, right?
Yeah.
As a man, as a woman too, we're a little bit sometimes more in touch with our feelings. We might not be as honest with where they're coming from and why, or, that deeper exploration. But for a man, like how did that happen for you initially, to be able to have the courage to start to sit still and inquire and hold a space for you? I know, right? For your tender emotions.
I'll tell you, I mean, I had to experience a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Like, the man's tendency, and it's a primal thing.
Yeah.
We all men, we're equipped to survive. And we can't, it's deep in our brains to just keep going.
Yeah.
Because to stop and feel means you're going to die.
Right, which is more of a primal survival.
Exactly.
But when we're taught, which is the root chakra.
Exactly.
Way down in the lower energy centers of the body.
Totally.
What we're talking about is up here with spiritual enlightenment, and is way above that.
Yes.
So that you're seeing beyond just, you're overriding the primal urge just to survive, because at this point it's not about survival.
No.
When you sit still, you're not going to die.
No.
Might feel like it.
No. But
Your
that's
life
the
isn't
starting
being
point.
threatened.
That's the starting point, because most men are afraid to do that, because it means they have to stop and they have to feel. And that's where men have a challenge, is just to be able to be in this place of openness, of yin, of just being receptive to feeling without that reactionary impulse to keep going. And so for me, I had to experience tremendous amounts of pain, because I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Like, I'm going to break through. I'm going to break through. I'm going to keep evolving and do it, making this happen, And it was, the pain got so bad that I just had to. It forced me to stop. And that's what I want to share with your viewers, is a lot of people are struggling. And I want to make it really clear that the things that we're feeling in our body and what we think is disease, which it is, I mean, it is disease ultimately, but it's really a gift. It's really there for us to turn inward and to start to just feel what we're feeling. And it's given to us as part of our destiny, which I wanted to bring in, because we're all given a destiny. We're all born into a very, very, in Chinese medicine, they call it a heavenly mandate. It's like, Anahata, you are here to change the planet in this way. You are given a very specific reason for incarnation. It's not only what you're here to do, but also what you're here to evolve through, so that you can offer what you're here to offer, like what you're putting out right now. This content and how you've helped so many people is because of your journey and your path through all of your own darkness, that you can help other people. And so that's what these things, it's designed that way. All of these things we feel, and these challenges we all face, each one of us has our own set of challenges. When we actually start to turn towards them and allow them and to feel them, they start to transmute, they start to transform into something in service to the rest of us, to the rest of the planet. And we're all very unique in what that is, what that set of what our superpowers are.
Right.
We all have a very, very specific set of superpowers.
I love that you've said this, because it gives us motivation then, because otherwise you're going to want to keep ignoring and keep ignoring. And
Totally.
we have so many socially acceptable ways to numb the pain.
Yes.
Because you said, wow, the pain just kept getting greater and greater and greater. And we have running, hiding, blaming, sedating, ignoring, we
All
have,
that.
and distracting. We have lots of ways to avoid doing the inner work. And so I really appreciate that you're saying, hey, there's two different things happening. What I'm hearing is that first, when you do go inward and you start to feel those feelings and resolve the disparity, whether it's a physiological experience that this part of my body is in pain, what if I actually paused and listened and asked what it needs? And it might just need rest. It might just need circulation. It might need some love. It might need a different food. It might need a lifestyle change. It might need to adjust something. And if it's physical, then we can explore the physiology of what is this inflammation or this pain trying to tell me. And if it's an emotional pain, it's like, wow, what pattern keeps repeating that I haven't yet forgiven or explored? And so I look at it as a classroom that each one of us has these traumas, these challenges, these experiences so that we can learn, heal, and grow and rise above. And it makes us stronger. And what I'm also hearing is that within that is the key to your soul's mission.
Exactly.
And that way it's not just about your own spiritual development. It's not only about your evolution as an individual, but then the bigger picture is how that plays and impacts and the role that you play in your soul's mission to bring your individual, what did you call it? Superpower, and also in the Chinese medicine, your
heavenly mandate.
Oh God, that's so powerful. And how you can manifest your heavenly mandate, also known as your soul's mission, into physical reality so that you can impact humanity or the planet in some way, because humanity is so hungry and needing so many solutions, so much support right now. And the planet is needing new solutions, new paradigms to be built and created, and each of us has a part in that.
Yes.
And if we're stuck in the pain and in the denial and in that Yin Yang imbalance, then we're missing that opportunity to get in the game, not only to feel better, but actually to serve at a higher level, which our soul is going to keep creating opportunities to wake us out of that slumber. Yes.
So true. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And the answer is really in the earth. Like the answer, because this is the primary. And look at the earth. I mean, it's all out of right. So this is where we're all disconnected. We're a mirror. We're mirrors for each other. You can't separate. You know this. We can't separate the earth from us, and each other as well. So. But it's the earth element, which is in Chinese medicine. It's in the original Chinese medicine, like the oldest version, the earth was the center, and the other four elements were around it. Now it's more of a circle; they all connect. But the old school style was the earth was the center, and so this is your digestion basically. It's your ability to absorb, to take in, and to digest. Literally, it can be food, but it's also energy, life experience, emotion. Yeah. And so most people were just disconnected from the earth. And if we were more connected to the earth, then the clarity comes, the resolutions come, you have the challenges. Well, you get the answers, the obstacles are there, but you see the way through. And it all comes from that connection deep into the earth.
The slowness part,
it's the
because
slowness.
That's the part of the yin that is like, still, go lay on the mother, go lay on Mother Earth. This is grounding. There's so much science now about how the power of just bare feet on the ground or just sitting, laying on Mother Earth. And that is that feminine principle that just says, come home and lay on the bosom of the mother and just like receive. You talked about the yin being more receptive, and can we slow down and just, maybe it's not a hike to the top of the mountain. No. Maybe it's just sitting quietly by a stream or sitting under a tree or taking a nap or just listening or being receptive that says, hey, divine creator, source, universe, higher self, Mother Earth, whoever you speak to, whoever speaks to you, help me out here. Help me to see the way. What change can I make? And what are my next two steps, and the willingness to do those next two steps. And that's enlightenment, is to bring light in. Well, we have to be slow enough and receptive enough and still enough, which is all yin,
Yes.
to be able to receive those messages
Right.
that are trying to guide us, trying to help us.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So, what are some ways? What are some other ways people beside? Okay, so in moving into more of a harmony and an alchemy of the yin yang, you started with getting still and being with your emotions. What else can people do?
Well, I feel in my practice and how when I see people, what I try to do is I try to turn that question back to them, because we're all very unique creatures in a sense of how we connect, what works for us. Some people, like for example, wood element people that have all this drive and ambition, they don't do well with sitting meditation. That's not their mode. That's not their way for them to shift. It's more about movement for them, because that's how they ground, is actually through movement. So in a metal type, it may be more artistic type ventures, drawing or journaling or writing, because metal types are very precise. They love beauty. They're all into like, expression of this beauty and aliveness, but also precision. So it may be, what I'm trying to express here is it's different for every person. So part of the practice is, and what I always turn it back on, what moves you the most? What connects you the most to yourself? And what makes you inspired? What drives you? So, sometimes water elements, it's the water itself, just being by the water. That and is enough for them to receive what they need to receive. So it's very unique to the individual. But the one thing that I would say that I could tell everyone to do, which is very easy, is just to connect your hands, these points in the middle of the palms. This is called Lao Gong, and it's really an extension of the heart.
So that's the center of the palm, for those listening.
Center of the palm, directly in the center of the palm, placing the palms over the dantian, which is basically your four fingers all put together, your index finger to your pinky. If you were to put that directly below your belly button, like in alignment with your belly button, the bottom of your pinky is where the dantian is in Chinese medicine. So putting your palm there, your palms over that area, what that does is it draws qi, your mind and your heart, down into your core, which is the primal energy. It's basically the battery of our body. It's where the sexuality comes from, where the potency of our whole expression of our life force comes from.
And birth and emotions and all of that.
Emotions, right.
Passion, tenderness, inner child, all of that sits there.
Totally.
So I noticed that in your left hand, that's the heart one.
Yes.
And because that's the feminine side of the body,
Yes.
the left side of the body, and the mind is sitting in the right hand.
Yes.
And so do you put the left hand first or the right hand, or does it matter?
In the Chinese medicine, they say for men that the left hand should go on the bottom, the right on the top. For women, it should be right hand, left hand.
Okay.
So right hand on the bottom for women.
Okay.
And that has to just do with the polarities. Actually, in Chinese medicine, the right is the feminine. It's vice versa, because heaven and earth switch. And as it comes down, so really the left side is the right in Chinese medicine. It's just opposite. So that's why they have it that way.
So just holding.
Just holding, basically like a container, and just drawing the qi, or your mind, your heart, all of your focus down into your belly. And just doing that with some deep breathing, just rhythmical breathing.
Is there a question or something that you pose in that place to, is there an inquiry there that allows you to open or listen or feel if you've never done that before?
Yes, I mean, there could be a contemplation. I mean, if someone has a question, like you were bringing it up, if like there's a situation going on in your life or in your body or whatever, and you're seeking an answer to that, the answer's there. The answer is there. So you can put that out. You can ask. You can offer a prayer and ask for guidance, and just connect into your belly.
Beautiful.
And just listen, and just let your body. The body has all the answers. I mean, it's all there for us if we just choose to turn inward and listen enough, and be willing to hear it. To be willing to just be open to that. So it's really a willingness, a willingness and an intent.
It sounds very gentle.
It
and
is.
Sweet.
It's very soft.
Right?
It's very beautiful. Yeah, and men have a hard time with that, but it gets easier, and especially if you turn it into, like for men, because men are just interested in power and energy. And so if you say, hey, it's going to build your sexual energy,
there you go.
then they're into it. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna,
Okay,
I'm gonna have
right.
better orgasms. Okay, great.
Sure.
I'm gonna do it. So that's like a great
You heard
way.
it here. You do this and you get better orgasms.
You can always find a hook, to help somebody in a good way, right?
Well, and it really is, because that, if you are in your emotional body, if you are present, if you are able
Yes.
to receive, if you are in greater balance and you're in an intimate experience, you're bringing more of that fullness into the sexual experience.
Exactly.
So actually, for men and women, instead of, hey, if I'm having my yin yang balance and I'm seeking to get that from
Yes.
you in the sexual experience, now we're talking about taking sexual energy or chi from somebody else.
Exactly.
From that very same place. When I'm coming with fullness, then I'm bringing to you instead of taking from you in the sexual experience.
very
And then
true.
I can be receptive to receive the beauty instead of take that from somebody else.
Yes.
Right?
Very true. Very true. So this can be practiced with two people,
Absolutely.
dual cultivation, like what you just brought up. I mean,
Yep.
it's another great segue, but
Yep.
where two people are open to that experience and just connecting on this level where you're just connecting, but that in itself, that is such powerful alchemy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's whole Chinese medical traditions based on that.
On the Tantra.
On the Tantra, and the
right.
Qigong, and the microcosmic orbit of circulating the energy
Breathing.
up and down through the spine or around the spine. It just,
Right? So if you want better sex, this is the way.
This is definitely it. This is definitely it.
What are
For sure.
what are some other benefits as as individuals start to feel more and listen more, or and ask that question, do I need more water or metal or earth or wood, And as they ask those questions, they get to know themselves better
Sure.
and inquire about what this part of their body is trying to communicate. What are some of the benefits when this starts to harmonize a little bit more? And what does it look like when it is in balance?
Well, first of all, the number one thing would be you have a very heightened sense. Your sensitivity is greatly heightened. So this is something that this is our nature actually, to be so tuned in. Our intuition, we know what we need, what we don't need. We know the right people for us. We know our allies. We know the people that are connecting and supporting us. We know the people that aren't.
Yeah.
We have greater levels of discernment where we know which foods work for us, how much we need, when to eat, when not to eat, when we're tired, when we need to rest, when we need to move. All of these things just come so naturally. There's no thinking anymore. We're so programmed because we have Google, we can just look stuff up instead of just being like, no, what is this for me? Like, I used to give a lot of supplementation to my clients, herbs and all these things, and it's very valuable. I think these things are very valuable. And there's a time and a place for them. But also, being as a practitioner, I don't know what Anahata needs. I don't know her body like she does. So I can't prescribe you something and say, hey, this is the situation you have, and these herbs may work, but they may not. Or you may need just less of them, or you may need more of them. So this is, as you get more in balance, there's just this naturalness that is there. There's no, the thinking process is like almost nil. It's just, there's just this experience that you have and this knowing that becomes very flowing and very gracious. So there's this like smoothness. There's not a lot of resistance to experience, to feelings. They just naturally come and go. And there's more peace around that, because we're all going to experience anger and frustration and sadness and all these things. This is part of our nature, and they're necessary in a certain way. Yeah. And the more in balance we are, we're able to be in touch with that and to feel those feelings and to be in touch with those feelings and also experience the joy of that. Because part of being human is the enjoyment of just being here on this planet and the experiences that are here.
And it sounds like within that, when there is an alchemy with that spiritual enlightenment, there's a lot more grace and ease. Even it doesn't mean the challenges stop coming. It's just how we respond to them is different, and that we can feel when something's shifting we pay attention to it and adjust rather
Exactly.
than ignore and push and blame and sedate. There's that level of sensitivity that you're talking about is that enlightenment and spiritual awareness,
Right.
that and sensitivity in a healthy and positive way. There's been so much judgment around sensitivity, being a judgment, and that it's unhealthy or it's negative. And this is where the sensitivity in that yin gives us the direction that says, oh, back off this, add more of this, take a pause here.
Exactly.
This is coming to completion. This is, like you said, with we are nature, and I think that nature does that so well. Oh, it's aware, is sensing the temperature is changing. It's time to come inward and let go of the leaves that have served their purpose. It's time to hibernate because it's paying attention. There's awareness that, oh, the weather is changing. Just like with now the sun is there's more sunlight, there's more warmth. I've got energy to birth. It's time to birth. And we go through these natural cycles. And I think what you're saying, when we're out of balance with the yin or yang energy, we're not listening, we're not sensitive enough to pay attention to where a relationship is evolving or a substance is actually hurting us now, where it might have been a fit before, and maybe this substance is now becoming a poison and not a medicine. And also learning how to listen to what feels right to me and not be driven so much by the collective about what fits you for your soul's mission, but also what is right.
Exactly.
Whether, in any part of our life.
It's existence.
So that it feels like when we're out of balance, that disconnection is going to create a lot of chaos.
Very much.
Then pain, which is
Very much.
whether it's inflammation or disease in the physical body, or chaos and inflammation in our emotional body, or in our relationships.
Exactly.
And especially there's going to be inflammation if we're not sensing and listening to the clues divine creator source universe is trying to get us onto our divine mission.
Exactly.
And that if there's resistance and avoidance to that, it's going to be a bit uncomfortable, yeah?
Ultimately it's resistance is what you're saying. Ultimately it's all resistance, and we're all dealing with different levels of that.
Yeah.
And in Chinese medicine, that's stagnation of qi.
Okay.
So that's where acupuncture can really help, because the meridians and the needling and how that operates is very specific, in the sense of it's a very, very specific way to direct energy and to stimulate energy in a way that it's going to help kind of give a little nudge to that expression and to that whatever it is that's locked up or that's needing to be addressed. Right. There'll be a release of that and a shift. And your work, you have your version of that, and it's just another version of that. Acupuncture is a way to really pinpoint literally those imbalances and literally open them up, and it's a training module really for people to get in touch with themselves.
Because you do want to learn how to be able to shift
this is right.
on your own and bring awareness to that imbalance. Otherwise, it keeps occurring over and over and over again, and the pattern keeps repeating.
Exactly.
And so it feels that this is also a place of empowerment.
Yes.
That says just because you have a tendency to be a certain way doesn't mean that there can't be an alchemy of other experiences, other tools, other elements to bring you into your own personal power more.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's ultimately, that's my whole mission really when I'm working with someone, is to just keep guiding them back into that, into themselves, into like, you have all the answers you need. You just have to be willing to be open and to feel, because these places where we're locked out of our power are the places we need to go first. Like, that's where we need to go. And that's generally a really painful place and a scary place to really feel into that, and to be okay with just being there, and to allow the alchemy to happen just by just being there. That's all that's really needed. The simple thing of just being with what's there is magic. And you know that. I mean, just, you see people when they finally have faced that thing that they've been avoiding. That's when everything changes.
Right? Because that is the way.
That is, yeah.
Whatever you resist persists, you know, and that is the way through. That is the answer you've been looking for, is in that thing that you've been avoiding.
Totally.
And that's why it's going to show up with a different haircut.
Exactly.
It's going to show up in another person
Totally.
to give you the experience yet again, to see, like, are you ready to look at it now? Are you ready to look at it now?
Yes.
And so it does, like you say, the pain kind of creates this humility that says,
Yes.
okay, I surrender. And sometimes the masculine in us both, the yang, you know, in men and women, gets to be humbled and say, you know what, this force thing, this pushing thing isn't going to be the way, you know. And I had a client who came in limping just 2 weeks ago, and and you know, it's on the masculine side of the body, you know, limping on, you know, my ankles flaring up, and he goes, yeah, you know, I'm having to shorten my runs.
Yeah. I wonder why, dude.
I shorten it. And he's like, oh, it sucks,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because
yeah,
instead of 5 miles, I'm only doing 3. And it's like,
Yeah.
when that inflammation is happening, it's like, it should be no runs.
Yes,
it should be
exactly.
like, your ankle is telling you, don't run on me. And instead,
Right.
I'm forcing it to run just a little less.
Totally.
And we do the same thing. It's like, okay,
Yes.
well, I'll let go of that a little bit, but I'm not going to let go of all of it.
Exactly.
Because we all have those places where we don't
Yeah.
want to let go
Yes.
of a substance or a relationship
Yes.
or you know, a lifestyle, you know, a habit of running, or, you know, because it may bring us joy, but
Yes.
it'll have diminishing returns
Right.
if we're not sensitive to saying, oh, this isn't medicine right now for
Exactly.
me. Or the universe is trying to get us to explore a different alchemy that
Exactly.
says, what if swimming was another thing? What if you used the water element instead of, you know,
Totally.
what if you were still moving, but it was softer on the body?
Totally.
Or if you also, you know, did some relaxation with it as well. So it gets us to break those patterns of where we keep going in a line, and the universe is like, hey, let's be more
Yes.
fluid and flexible and try this other thing. And
Exactly.
it's so what are the benefits when somebody really does have the courage to embrace the newness or the feeling and starts acting to bring that into greater alchemy within their elements and within their yin yang balance? What are some of the benefits that happen when you see that shifting within your clients or friends, family?
The word that comes to mind
Yeah.
would be joy. Because you can be in pain and you can be challenged in this way, but if you're meeting it,
Yeah.
and if you're listening to it, there's joy and there's peace.
Yeah.
Because you know, there's a part of us that knows when we do that, that something powerful is transpiring, that we are really stepping into a deeper part of ourselves that's more in alignment with our soul. And so there's this like natural like excitement,
Yeah.
and there's like a massive amount of creativity that starts to show up.
Yeah.
Because that force that's there, that's trapped, or that energy that's been there, is really creative energy that's just been like, it's been locked down. And it's like, when you start to just open to it, it just releases all of that light. It releases all of that. Your creative soul expression starts to move through and starts to like unfold, and you start to meet the right people, the right experiences, the right relationships. There's this like natural, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, like, how is this possible? You know, things start to manifest in this very magical, natural, fluid way, because we all have this fluid nature that wants to be expressed, because that's what's going to heal our planet, and that's how we're going to heal each other. Is just the more of us that get in touch with these places, we're gonna start to intermingle, like we're intermingling right now, having this exchange. We get to share all of this wisdom, and we get to interact with each other, and we bring each other gifts and medicine that it's like we all these like little lights, like opening doorways for each other, you know, like lighting these lights in each other. Because what you're carrying, it like opens me up, and what I'm carrying, it opens you up. And then we have this mutual exchange that's just like electric.
Right.
And it's blissful, and it's how our planet is really meant to be, is having these beautiful relationships that support each other, and we like grow together, and we evolve in this beautiful way, you know.
It's infectious
It's
as well.
infectious, yeah.
Even when we're going through a challenge, instead of to add fear and anger and resistance to it, which just inflames it more, just adds gas to the fire.
Exactly.
To say, okay, yes, through this, through this fire, knowing, feeling, and understanding, and having a level of grace to know that, wow, out of these ashes of transformation comes a liberation, comes the phoenix rising, and even through the discomfort of it, we can be in joy, knowing, trusting that on the other side, I'm so glad my physical body is, like having a full reset and like melting down, whether it's emotionally, physically, energetically, your business melting. I have so many clients that have to have a full meltdown of everything in order to rebuild stronger. And I'm like, yes, fantastic. This relationship ended. Fantastic that business that you actually hated left you and, went bankrupt. How wonderful. And so it sounds like in the understanding how we see it, it helps us to soften through the experience, even if it's uncomfortable, focusing on the phoenix rising, the inspiration, and, eye on the prize about where we're moving as an individual, as individuals, as community, as family, and what is possible when the alchemy is locked in and it's in harmony, and then we're interacting from that place in this accelerated upliftment. It feels like that's the creative catalyst that's going to bring the change that we need onto the planet right now. That is going to be the energy, and yes, current systems are going to crumble in order for the new thing to rise. New healthcare, new relationship understanding, new ways of self-care, and I think it's an exciting time, and we're all kind of going through our own crucible.
To say the least.
Like, I mean, you and I have watched each other melt down and rebirth multiple times, and my dear, more beautiful every time, I must say.
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There is that joy and that bliss, and I think as humans, when we're in that Yin Yang balance where all of our elements are present and in harmony, and it's fleeting. It's a work in progress. It's not like, oh, I've arrived, it's all balanced and I'm done, I can kick back. It's always evolving and changing. But when that occurs, it feels like this is where our human potential is awakened, and we activate that part in our brain and in the pineal gland that the Eastern philosophies talk about, or at least in India, the Amrita, the divine nectar, which is even above joy, which is bliss. Like this ecstatic, bliss-gasmic joy that is such a different place of survival and just getting by, or being in the pain place, is like way other end of the spectrum with spiritual enlightenment, where we can be in that ecstatic, highest possible states of emotion within our human experience.
Yes.
Yes.
So right there with you, man. So right there with you.
Right?
I mean, that's my intention. I mean,
Right?
It's like I know everything that's happening right now. It's intense out there. It's just the reality. It's intense. It's happening, and we're all doing it in our own way, and we're all supporting each other. Even people that we wouldn't seem are. We really are. We really are connecting and supporting each other in this, into this blissful union. I mean, it's happening.
Well, and even that, when we say we're supporting each other, is the person that triggers you
Exactly.
most is supporting you to wake up to the thing that's in the way of your soul's mission, your alchemy. And so when you see it from that place, it gets really exciting, because every human experience then can be seen from that place of, oh, gee, thank you for that. Although it might be a different word.
Yeah, no, maybe like
screw you, or something else. Initially, that gives us the opportunity to really celebrate all life experiences as saying, oh, this is shaping me, this is growing me, this is teaching me. Fantastic. I love everything that you've shared. I really do.
Thank you. I love everything. You're supportive in everything that we're doing the same work, and I'm just grateful to be able to share what my experience was, and kind of have it mirror yours. And
Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners of anybody that's having a challenge or doesn't think this is possible, or any other little tips that would be helpful in people moving forward with this, for men or for women that are, in a challenge in any way?
Well, I really like to try to keep things really simple, because it's easy to overcomplicate. There's so many systems and things that are out there that can convolute this process, and honestly, it all boils down to just one word, and it's just trust. It's just really deeply connecting and just trusting everything in your life that's happening at this moment is exactly where you need to be. And there's two choices. There's just allowing it and surrendering and, like, in a sense, love, or being afraid. And both of them are okay. It's okay to be afraid, because that's part of it too. It's like, this is how we learn. And so whatever it is you are experiencing right now, if it's really painful, really intense, you're really challenged, your life is chaos, just know that it's shaping you into something. It's actually there serving you. It's actually a very powerful form of initiation into grace, into your true destiny, and everything that's happening for all of us right now. That's what it's all about. And so it's really about trusting our experience and feeling into our experience as deeply as possible and surrendering to it. And with that, magic just starts to unleash. And so, just keep it simple and trust, really.
I love that you said that, because that feels like that everything is happening is preparing me for my destiny.
It is.
These are actually giving me the opportunities to practice my superpowers and also be aware of my kryptonite.
Exactly.
Of like, be aware of my blind spot and my Achilles heel, so that I can look at those things, evolve them, grow them, and integrate them, so that they're not going to take me out. That I can stand in the presence of something bigger, and I can face darkness or shadow as the superheroes that we are.
Totally.
And it also allows us to really acknowledge that I'm being prepared for something.
Exactly.
And to celebrate that, and to be curious about it. I think this whole thing, one is trust, like you said, of just to trust this process is happening.
Yeah.
But also, I love getting curious about, what is this preparing me for, and why do I need this skill? And how great, I'm understanding a little bit more about discernment, or I'm learning a little bit more about how important sleep is.
Yes.
Whatever it is that is your wake-up call or is your greatest teacher.
Yes.
Whether it's a relationship or an ailment, or a challenging person, is like how wonderful that we get the opportunity to learn.
Totally.
Yes.
One quick thing I got to add.
Yes,
I got to add.
They want it.
So
they want it.
There's this whole notion of free will and not free will, and they both are valid, and it's a paradox, really. It is, because I've looked into this a lot in my own introspection. Okay, how much are my choices influencing my reality, and how much is just, where are those choices coming from? What is making that choice for me to choose to step into this or not to? Where does that come from, really? And looking into that. So what I've come around is that there's this intelligence that's way beyond, some call it God, call it life, call it source, call it whatever you want.
Universe, yeah.
That's way beyond this mind of ours that can concoct any idea of what is going on. And this is why I say this, coupling with the trust with what you're saying with the intention, because there in some way is an intention. We all have this inner knowing of, like, what it is we want to manifest. We all have this dream deep inside us that we all know we want to bring forth. And so we all have a different timeline for that, and for that expression to naturally move through us. And that is something that is guided beyond any of our control, because it knows way more than us when the right time, when the right expression, like a fruit, when it's time to ripen, or when the lotus, the whole theme of a lotus flower rising out of the mud, when it finally flowers, that is its own unique time. So.
And it starts in the mud.
It starts in the
mud. And it has faith and trust, like you said, of just trusting. Enlightenment means to bring light in.
Yes.
And just like, I love that you
Yes.
brought in the lotus, because that's this whole journey of the soul awakening.
Totally.
It's the whole spiritual enlightenment process is trusting, listening, sensing there is something greater, keep reaching for it.
Yes.
And then here comes this lotus, this big
Yes.
flower that's opening up, and wow, to all of this potential.
Totally.
Thank you, honey.
You're so welcome. Thank you. So great.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
Really
Love what
appreciate
you're
you.
doing, and you know, what I think is unique also about your particular acupuncture, because you bring so much more to that. And it's kind of, my first experience with it was like shamanic acupuncture. And I was like, oh, thank you for blending kind of more Eastern modalities with kind of this native shamanic approach as well. So you're like me, we kind of blend stuff.
Totally.
And why not? Because there's so much wisdom in all of these different traditions that
Exactly.
we can draw the best of all of them.
Yes.
And, you know, alchemize them together and or rise above with it. Yes, 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 oh God, yes. I love it. So please tell the audience, because I know you have some special gifts.
Yes.
You're here in Sedona.
Yes.
So how can people find you?
Well, you can go to my website. It's www.sedonaacupuncture, all one word. There's 2 A's there. So Sedona Acupuncture, all one word.com. That's my website. You can email me through that, but you can also email me at adamdavirro@gmail.com, which is ADAMDAVIRRO@gmail.com. And I'd love to offer the first 5 people who email me a free 20-minute consult on this alchemizing process and the alchemy process, and guiding you through those steps depending on your present situation. So please feel free to contact me. I'd love to answer any of your questions and just be able to support you in any way I can.
Oh my gosh, that is such a treat. A 20-minute consultation with you for
Yeah,
free.
yeah.
Like, jump on that, people.
So there's 5. I have 5. Only 5.
So if you email Adam, and we'll make sure that it's in the show notes.
Great.
Your website will be in there, and also your email address. And if you email him with in the subject heading Shamangelic Podcast, he's going to see who those first 5 are and give you that. That is a super amazing gift.
Yes.
And while you're here in Sedona, come and visit Adam. Do a combo, so you can come and get like shamanic acupuncture journey, because it really is amazing.
Yes,
the music
yes,
that
yes,
you
yes.
play and your energy is so powerful. So go and get shamanic acupuncture with Adam, and then come and have a shamangelic healing journey with me here in Sedona. So you can find me at shamangelichealing.com. And I would love to offer you also a free gift, and that is a quantum visualization. So that's a free guided journey to kind of help you envision what is possible, a more balanced life, your soul's mission, your soul's purpose, greater health, better relationships. So I want to give you that free guided quantum visualization for you. And also $100 off the Quantum Leap program, which is my high performance coaching in a group setting. And that's a 12-month program where we just break it down 1 month at a time and guide you through specific modules each month with a focus on one area of life, so that you can really look at the modules, do the exercises, and focus on improving your energy, your clarity, your relationships, your spiritual connection. And so there's 12 of those modules, total game changer. And I am opening up only for 3 people only to do one-on-one personal coaching with me. So the link will be in the bio and on the show notes. There's an application, because I only want to work with people that really want to go deep, because that is a one-on-one intensive with me, private sessions, and also coaching one-on-one. So if that is you and you are called to that, fill out an application, because I only take 3 per year. That's it. So that is, enrollment is opening for that. And please let me know you heard about it from the, on the Shamangelic Healing podcast. So listen, If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it, like us, give us a rave review. It helps other people hear about this content. It's my passion and mission to inspire millions to shine. You're part of getting the word out, and I appreciate your time and your energy in really helping us bring this message and this content out to the masses. As always, I really appreciate. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you so much.
Our
You're
guest
so
today.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
awesome.
Thank you for your wisdom. There were so many beautiful pearls. And this is just an invitation to you to find where you can alchemize your yin and your yang and your elemental balance and harmony, so that you can expand and awaken your spiritual enlightenment path and get in the game and do your soul's
Rock
mission.
on, yeah.
And tell me again the name of like what the Eastern medicine calls your
Heavenly mandate.
Oh my God, I love that. Heavenly mandate. So we are tasking you with the invitation to find that alchemy, awaken to your fullest potential, and claim, embody, and share your heavenly mandate. Thank you for tuning into the Shamanic Healing Podcast. Thanks to Adam. We love you.